Yeah. uh, uh. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get that Silent Night one. Yes. Yay. I love that song. Wow. I needed that. I needed that song to really get me started going. Today is March 3rd, and I haven't checked, but I bet you the last time I recorded was around the 27th of February. I just have not been recording the way I normally do. I had some things that I had already recorded, so I've been uploading those. But I literally am bursting with ideas. Like my mind is just bursting with ideas. Like I want to talk so bad about so much stuff. Now, I don't know what this is, or I just feel retracted. Like I've retracted a little bit myself. I pulled in a little. And but I've got some things coming up that I'm going to talk about. My nose is itching. I probably am not going to talk about them in this video because I want to talk about something that I find fascinating, and I will tie it into astrology, but it's not a normal subject or anything. So some of you guys might be like, what is she doing? But all day I've just been fascinated with the story of Hypatia. And I don't know if you know the story of Hypatia of Alexandria. There was a movie that was out a few years ago, and it was called Agora. And she was basically playing Hypatia. And Hypatia was she's known as a scholar. Okay, she was highly intelligent, and she was like one of the first, or not, well, I wouldn't say the first, well, she might have been the first, but she was definitely one of the last major philosophers because, uh, I mean, they basically, what they did to her is horrendously horrible. I mean, it's funny. As I look at our past over the past years, it seems to me that whenever women take on any position of power or intelligence, they're destroyed. Or if, unlikeness, like if they're not like everybody else, if they stand out, if they're to themselves, or they live alone, or any of those things, then they become prey. They become the target of bigots and hypocrites and religious fanatics and bigots and stuff like that. So this poor woman was actually close to the leader of Alexandria because she was a well-known, well-respected philosopher. She created the astrolabe. Any astrologer worth their weight in gold knows about the astrolabe. It determines, is basically like a handheld ephemeris almost. She created that. That's how wise this woman was. It was like like a metal, and it just, you spun it around and it would tell you where the sun was during the day. I mean, this was handheld, and imagine doing that back in like 400 AD. I mean, this was a genius. She was a genius. The astrolabe is still working today. They still, they're, in the video they showed a handheld version of it, and but it's amazing. I mean, they were tending to their flocks and everything based on what was in this astrolabe. It told them everything in a time of day. It was basically their watch. It was like their cell phone of the day. Okay. That's the way I'm thinking, that it was like their cell phone. And she was the creator of that. So there was this other guy who was in power or wanted power. And I think they said his name was Cyril. I'm trying to remember the storyline. Anyway, he was part of when the Romans came in and the Christianity, and because she was Greek, and they brought in all the Christianity and the fanaticism, and I guess this guy Cyril, he turned on her pretty much and led her to a mob of religious fanatics who took her into a church or area where they, forget the word they used, but they used like pottery and stuff and flayed her skin and basically unskinned, took her skin off and killed her in that way. And then once they flayed her and took all her skin off of her, they chopped her up, and or I don't know if they burned her first or then they chopped her up and burned her, but because she was too intelligent. She was scientific in a time when they were pushing faith and God. And she most likely, they said astronomer, but I bet she was an astrologer too. I'm going to tell you something. I have said this so much, but I have like agoraphobia. I do not go outside. I've got my own issues. We all have an issue of some kind. Mine is that I don't trust anybody, and I have always felt that maybe I was someone like Hypatia in a prior lifetime. Definitely someone, I think, that was a witch or something like that. I think they said there was only 33 of them that was burned. I don't know. I think there is more of us that feel that we were either hunted or killed for being different. I think there was much more in Europe because there were the witch huntings in Europe as well. I feel like sometimes when they get on a tangent and they turn something evil, people can get into this violent crowd mentality. And in this case, I think it was done under, they did it, I think they said right in broad daylight. They wanted to destroy her. And they did. I mean, that woman was destroyed physically, psychologically. They burned all her works, all her books. But imagine, I mean, luckily the astrolabe still exists, but imagine being like the main source of intelligence, okay, maybe. And they come in and literally wipe you out. And everything you ever did, like you never existed. It's horrendous. It's painful because all her life work, and obviously when you look at the astrolabe, that still makes sense today. She obviously was a genius. So whatever she was talking about was obviously genius. It's heartbreaking. Hypatia's story is absolutely heartbreaking. It's horrendous. I feel like when I heard this story, and it's sad, and this is why I'm going to talk about this, because it was just through YouTube, right? You watch one thing and it leads to another and it leads to another and it leads to another. Well, I was watching about all the different things that's going on with MAGA, that it was just, they are almost religious zealots in some things, especially the way they think about certain subjects. And that just led to one thing. And then the story of Patia popped up, and I started looking at that. And then I realized that's probably the connection with the religious zealots. But it just it's like a cautionary tale. I mean, it's not even the first empire or whatever that was really destroyed, because they said that was pretty much the end of philosophy, or the end of the reign of Alexandria, or whatever it was. They pretty much destroyed Alexandria at that point. But it's the idea that someone was destroyed in that way because they were intelligent, or they had a different understanding than you did, or you didn't understand what she did. There was rumors that she did magic, but she was not of magic. She was not that kind of practicing magician. There were some back in those days, but she wasn't one. She was murdered for being an intelligent woman. I'm pretty sure of it. It's stuff like that do you remember, not even that many years ago, there was a female president in South Korea, and she got run out because she had someone that was whispering in her ear that they said was a religious zealot. So this stuff still happens. I mean, I don't think anyone was flayed or anything, but I mean, it's the idea that this kind of thing, recently, we still have similar situations where they were publicly humiliated. The president removed from her position. She's a female. Here we go with the females, right? This woman was removed from her position as president. And I believe whoever the person was that was with her, I believe they both went to jail. One was, I don't know if one was killed or they, that's another story, right? That's for another time. Like, whoa. I mean, I don't know what kind of religious, because they said it was some kind of religious cult, this woman who was like her advisor, or that I guess she was her follower, and they just felt like it was compromising the presidency. But I also wonder how much of that is, again, religious zeal or whatever, because that is so weird to have something like that happen. But this is obviously something that we go through, where there's people that do things to get in power and control. They destroy other people. Innocent people die. Intelligent people die. The women it just seems that the women have been sacrificed more than once, okay? More than once over the many centuries. It's just part of it. Just seems to happen. Breaks my heart, because I feel like in our last election, I feel like Kamala was shysted. Supposedly,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
He won with 31%, but I
Thank
don't
you so
believe that.
much.
Most of her votes weren't even counted.
Thank you, everybody. Please
There's
have a
over
seat.
almost
you.
5 million that they said were just thrown away or whatnot. We ain't never had no 30 million votes as Democrats, ever, that I recall. Democrats always come out. You know that these votes are missing. And there's like, oh, they sat it out. Why? Why would they sit it out? You saw all her events. People were excited. There were millions of people of all colors, not just black, because that's the fallacy, and that's not true. So there's something amiss. And we saw his events. There weren't that many people that had his events, were there? He said he was going to win, and he said we would never have to worry about voting again. This is a problem. There's something that went on there. And I feel like poor Kamala was another female that was, basically used as a scapegoat. Sadly, it just seems like evil men tend to win every time. And women always seem to be at the hands of this, and they suffer, especially the more intelligent. Like the more they're intelligent enough to decipher things, the more they're, in trouble for knowing whatever it is they know. And I maybe that's part of the reason why I haven't wanted to come out and talk so much. Maybe sometimes I feel like I know just too much. I feel like sometimes I'm seeing what other people don't see. I'm saying what other people are afraid to say, or I'm saying it in a way that others aren't saying it. And my thing is, why aren't more people saying it like I'm saying it? And why am I saying it the way I'm saying it? And why am I seeing it the way I'm seeing it if others aren't seeing it the way I'm seeing it too? And if they are seeing it the way I'm seeing it, why aren't they saying anything? These are the things I think about. And then I saw Hypatia's story and I'm like, ah, because I swear I feel like I got a witch's wound. They say a lot of women have witch's wound. And that's from being a witch in a prior lifetime and either being burned at the stake or drowned or knowing or having friends or people uh, intimately watching them being burned or drowned. And those are things that have become commonplace at a certain point in time because that's how crazy the minds of men can be if left to run unchecked and run amok. And I feel like right now we're watching things run amok. Um, but I had made a video on YouTube, and I'm not going to show it. I'm not. But I was basically saying that this is a let them eat cake situation because the guy who was running Social Security said, if you're on Social Security, you should probably start saving up right now because he doesn't foresee it lasting for more than 2 or 3 months at the rate these guys are going. I don't know if he's already been, if he's left already because they've fired everybody, basically. This is a hostile takeover. We all know that. My thing is, who's going to stop the bleeding? The Dow fell 1,000 points in 2 days. 1,000. As the man was talking, you literally see it going down. I got a video on Blue Sky that I had taken a video and I or shared it there because someone else had posted it and then I just reposted it. But as he was talking, you see they had the down, it was just going down. The more he was announcing or saying, that it was just going further and further and further down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the most horrendous presidency. And it's only been 2 months. I can't even believe it's only been 2 months. Still in shock over that. But, people are saying he needs, should resign. And I'm like, he doesn't have the modesty or decency to resign. The only way you're going to have him, relinquish any power is to impeach and remove. That's the only way. I don't think he has enough decency to resign. He's not going to rescind anything or resign or anything like that. It's too into himself. He's got Leo rising. He's not going to do that. It has to be the way it's got to be. I'm sorry. Even if you once loved him. But you've got to, unless you know something I don't know, but it should be about self-preservation first. Like, I don't think anyone should be put on a pedestal to the point where your own life is in jeopardy. That's silly. And at this point, I feel like, what are we being given a choice at this point? Like, it's getting to a point where it is about survival. So everyone choose what you want. I'm just afraid that their plan is really evil. And I hope it's not. But I keep asking myself, how does this not lead to genocide? I mean, there's so many millions of elderly people on Social Security that need it. There's no other way they're going to survive. They're not going to be able to get a job. That's not an option. They put in all their time. They earned that already. So it's unfair. You can't just let them die. I mean, I hate to say this. I mean, yeah, maybe we do need to trim this and trim that, but not at the expense of lives. And dude, if it needs to be done, maybe it can be done at another time, but it certainly doesn't have to be done, and not like this. Not in the form of genocide. Not, there is no such thing as cutting excess to the extent that you're cutting lives. Because we're not numbers, we're people. So when you're doing something and it's gotten to the point where you forget that you're literally killing people, the numbers don't matter if there's no life. And that made me think about the let them eat cake. Maybe the entire point is for them to get rid of the lives that they don't think that matter anymore. It's the same lives that Hitler wanted to get rid of. That's the elderly, the sickly, right? The undesirables. I mean, in that case, it was Jewish, but in this case, maybe Black people or Hispanic. I mean, people who are poor in general, because they don't care what color you are if you're poor. This is coming from the top elite, so their mindset is not. They can't even see the poor. I trying to remember the movie. I think it was one of the Zeitgeist movies. I can't remember. It was years ago. And I'm just trying to remember if I saved it anywhere, because it was like 4 or 5 years ago I saw it. But they had, it was this thing, and it was talking about the rich and the rest of us. And although 99% of us are basically poor, not millionaires. There's only a certain amount, I think 3% of the world are millionaires. And 1%, if that, are billionaires or less than. It's a crazy number. And so for someone to not understand our plight, it's, to give you an example, they had the money go upward. So it was shooting up, right? And they had the people go outward. So as a whole, all the people were all like spaced out this way, long ways, because most of us are making under $1 million. Right? So it was like long, it's like almost everybody. And then at the very end, there was these lines that were shooting up, like the millionaires and billionaires. And it just went straight up, like they are nowhere near where we are on the bottom. So I don't even know how someone up there like Elon, he can't even see what we're going through. He can't comprehend it. He's too far removed from it. And he's been too far removed from it for too long, if not his entire lifetime. He doesn't know anything about poverty, nothing, or being elderly and being dependent on a monthly check. He has no concept whatsoever. And so he does not have the emotional empathy or emotional intelligence to handle any job that would have to deal with elderly people or poor people. He should not be at all. It's letting them eat cake. That's sadly, that's the way he's handling it too. Like, well, just let's cut this anyway. Basically saying let them eat cake, even though there might be 8, 9, 10 million people that die. That's a lot of people to die. And they will die. 2, 3 months with no food, no shelter. What do you think is going to happen? This is insanity. It's not. First of all, it has no compassion or humanity in it. It's almost as though their thinking overtook the compassion component completely. And they completely forgot or don't care, really, basically. I think The whole point, I think, is to kill off all the ones that are flat down there and only the millionaires and billionaires to survive. So if you're not a millionaire or billionaire, I don't know why you're supporting it, because you're not going to survive. How are you going to survive? Especially if you're a person of color, because he's saying basically, unless I picked this up wrong, not to hire people of color, at least in certain positions of authority. So you will never be able to do that anymore, because this is all a racist thing going on. I'm always shocked when you put somebody of color in a position. I always wonder how did that happen? Like, there was a one woman he put into position, but then I found out this is the same woman he pardoned 4 or 5 years ago. He has his, people he owes, I guess. This is like a criminal enterprise, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm not going to say no more. I just know it's not good. And I remember saying once when before he actually got elected, and someone asked me what I saw, and I made my little predictions. And I said, when I looked and I saw Trump as president versus Kamala, all I saw was darkness. And now I know why. It's not even 2 months yet. It won't be 2 months until the 19th. All I saw was darkness. I had no idea he was going to come out and do all the things he did, the way he did it. But all it's leading to is darkness. I mean, places like Canada are turning on us, and France has turned on us, and most of European countries have turned on us. I think most of the world has turned and will turn on us, because we have someone in office that is not in alignment with humanity. And because of that, people will die. What's going on in Europe could collapse Europe. I mean, it seems easy to just let him have Ukraine, right? To just let Putin come and take Ukraine. But then he's exposed. Poland's exposed. In Holland. I mean, is anyone thinking rationally, or I'm just seeing things differently? Because why would anyone, if you were an ally, why would you allow such a thing? And even if you just cared enough about Europe. But this is like, I don't care about Europe. Screw Europe, I'm in America. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. Because that's basically what this boils down to. I think a lot of us are just in shock. Because there's a lot of things. I think also, I keep saying this, but I do think, like, first of all, Jupiter has been in Gemini. I've talked about Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini, and he's a Gemini, and I think he's just like got so full of him. Oh my God, he's so puffed up. And it's scary to watch, because a lot of the decisions are so horrendously bad. They're so bad that it's going to take our nation so many years, if ever, to recover. And he can't get through. Like, I'm looking, he just seems in his head like he's really into the power and making these decisions, and completely no empathy. I see zero understanding of empathy in that person or his henchmen. Now, it could be because we're dealing with air signs. That's the way an astrologer thinks. Or it could just be that we're dealing with people who are, they got a mission. They're thinking. Like I keep saying, that there's air signs think a lot. They think. They're humans, basically. The rest of us are animals, other than Virgo. But the air signs are, either a scale itself or someone holding a scale. Someone holding a jug of water. And Gemini are twins, known for turning and being two-faced. So even if you liked him, I know there's a lot of Trumpers who are angry because of the decisions. And I'm like, why would you believe him? It's a Gemini. They're known for being two-faced. He's gonna do or say whatever he has to do to get into power and like save his butt and stay out of jail. I mean, I get that part. But this part I don't get because it's over the top and you should have enough love for your country not to do what he's doing. They know somewhere inside that they're destroying the nation. They have to know. It's part of the plan to destroy the nation. And I don't understand why. Why would you want it? That's the part that I don't get. Even if you had some sick idea that it should be a certain type of world that you want, why would you topple a world when it had just gotten to the point where we were actually starting to get back on our feet as a nation, as a world? Like, it was starting to get to the point where things were starting to improve. Like we thought we were going to be able to save Europe and maybe save whatever is going on in Gaza. He wants to put a hotel there. Meanwhile, the people there are starving to death. Mm. I mean, some stuff you can't even. If I had to make this stuff up like a year or two ago, I mean, a part of me felt it. Like I said, I only saw darkness, but I didn't see the level of like vindictiveness and spite. Obviously, this is all about destruction, and it takes an evil spirit, an evil soul to do that. There has to be something not right there. There's something missing because the human component of all the deaths that this is going to lead to doesn't seem to be a factor in the decision making, which is horrendously abhorrent. Like, and then to get rid of all of the agencies that would do any type of investigation or stop them for breaking all codes in humanity, because these are all crimes against humanity that are about to happen. I'm sure. I mean, because I'm at this point, I'm envisioning old people just dying all over the place. I mean, because if you're old, it's not like you have the wherewithal or the energy or health to go and live outside like a homeless person. You're 80, 90, 70, even 60 something, depending on your health. That might be too much. So this is just going to be massive genocide. They're just going to end up dying all over the place unless they've got children, and most don't once you get to that age. I'm just saying, this is so horrendous. I almost feel like it's somebody who is old and dying who wants to take as many with him as he can. Maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to understand the mindset behind not seeing people as people and just seeing dollars when people are going to die. I don't see how you overlook that one factor. There should be something in place. If you're going to make a new system, I'm not opposed to a new system. I'm not opposed to anything that's going to lead to the betterment of our country. But you should have something in place for those people that you're removing. And you don't have anything in place. You're just removing without anything in place. So that there's only one way it can go, which is genocide. Like there's no plan B. The plan B is called death. That's the part I'm like, what? And then we're like, what? They're not it's telling people not to hire Black people. So is this purposeful to make sure Black people die? Because there's not going to be any assistance from anywhere. And then you can't get a job. If you're old, you're going to get kicked out of your nursing home because there won't be any Medicare or Medicaid or no Social Security money. I mean, I'm trying to just see, I can't see it. Like this is this is a total collapse. They don't think it's a total collapse because they think the world revolves around those couple of spikes that were way up there. But this whole board game is got most of us down under $1 million. And that's what's collapsing. And all that money is all just going to tumble down into nothing. Because who cares if you're the most richest person in the world if there's nobody here to give us? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your man-made world if no one's in it but you. Then there's existential things. Like I ask myself, God, why did you even allow something like that to happen to HYPATIA? Why? So, I mean, it might be so that we can talk about her now, in this moment, in this time, when she's been long forgotten. And then I suddenly saw like tons of videos on HYPATIA. So it's as though there's been a resurgence of curiosity about this poor woman. Maybe since the movie Agora, probably since that movie. And I think I saw that on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go check Netflix and see if it's there, but I seem to remember it. Anyway, it makes you wonder, like, why is that kind of stuff, why is that kind of stuff allowed to happen? And it's painful because I feel like there's more than just myself, but I feel like there's probably millions of women who feel as though they have the witch's wound. You know, they lived in a life where they were either witches or they were hunted or they lived in fear or they were burned at the stake or they were drowned or they were shunned or any of those things, because it was so hard to be a woman for so many centuries. And it just breaks my heart to think that we're going back into a period of time where being a woman is again becoming like second-class citizens. We really don't need this. This is really not good. Why go back? And one of the reasons I brought this up is because it makes me wonder how many, because when I looked at that astrolabe that HYPATIA had created, she was obviously far advanced. It's like, it was like a metal or golden compass. It's the idea that this was a machine that was created that was so accurate at 400 AD. 400. So that tells me that their minds were just as advanced then. Oh, yeah. There are probably, because they burned up a lot of things connected to her. There are probably things that were created back then, because Picasso was also very creative in his day, and Da Vinci. Certain ones of these people, these philosophers come along, and they create these amazing creative pieces of astonishment. They change our world. They obviously were able to connect into whatever it is in the universe that gives us knowledge to create these things that are vital for a lot of things. Because when I remember once seeing a list of things that Da Vinci had created. I think it was Da Vinci. And just, it's amazing that some of these people were so talented and so inventive. And I think what bothers me the most about what might be going on now is the idea of trying to erase any of the progress that has been made because of something so vile as supremacy or whatever it might be. There's no reason for it, really. There should be nothing in our history removed. The idea that they want to ban books or remove things, I'm like, stop. This country was filled with a rich culture for a reason. I don't want us to be a closed-minded, narrow-minded nation. Why do that? What purpose does that serve? Why should we be the mob that kills HYPATIA? Why? I don't get that. I don't get that mob mentality. I don't get that evil, negative, put people down, let's go get them, trim the fat and all that kind of ish. I don't get that. Live and let live. Create something decent. Stop trying to figure out how to hurt people and figure out how to help. It's so much easier to be helpful than to be hurtful. I mean, maybe you get some kind of freakish satisfaction when you're hurting someone, but not everyone gets off on that. And so it's just weirding me out because our nation's in a bad way and we should be concentrating on fixing it and not getting off on hurting other people. We don't need no more HYPATIAs. We just need to fix the situation. And I hope we do, because I feel like a lot of people are just looking for excuses, anything than to look at the person they need to look at and ask themselves, why am I still supporting this? Because this has got to stop. I don't think the person's going to stop themselves. So stop asking them to resign. He's not going to do that. He's got way too much pride for that. He'll never. Are you kidding? Might as well ask me to become a queen. That's how likely it is that he will voluntarily resign. That man was not. He's got the lowest rating, I think, of any president of all time. I think right now. Well, don't think he's no. We have to impeach and remove. That's the only way. And I say impeach and remove because remember with Bill Clinton, he didn't leave either. You can't just impeach. You got to impeach and remove. He has to be removed. He has to be impeached and removed. And remember, the only way that happens is for 2/3 of Senate or Congress or one of them. I forget. It has to be 2/3. It can't be half. It has to be 2/3, which means there would have to be at least 15, 10, at least 15. I remember one of the votes, they said they just needed 3 people and they couldn't get 3 people. So the part of the issue is that it is hard to break rank amongst the Republicans, even when they know in their hearts that they're wrong. And people, this is going to be up to you. Depending on where you are and who is your representative, only you in those areas can run those representatives out on a rail and put in people with decency and compassion. But if you keep supporting the people without decency and compassion, then you can, expect to continue to see no decency and compassion. You guys control them. You control who sits there. You guys can go and get them kicked out right now. Whoever, I don't care where you live. You just need to have a certain amount of people to do it, and you can do it. Some of you guys elected the wrong officials, and you know it. So you need to go and fix it on that level first, so that they can't go into the House and Senate and then continually push forth, whatever this nonsense is that we've been seeing. But it starts somewhere, And doing nothing is not going to be it. You're going to have to call your local representative and find out what the options are. Because they're the ones that got to do it. You got to find some people with a backbone who are willing to say no when they know the answer should be no. Some things, maybe the answer should be yes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking, in a way, if it's the right thing, then yeah, sometimes the answer would be yes if it's the right thing. But sometimes it has to be no because it's the wrong thing. And we don't have enough people with backbone to say no when it's wrong. They'll just push things through because it's the party line to do so, or their job depends on it, or they're afraid for their families, or whatever is going on. Because I don't get what's going on, but I know it feels so not right. Something is just a little bit not right. Why would people be afraid for their families if they voted the right way? There should be no fear for your family because you vote in the right way. That don't make no sense to me. That's called extortion. Anyway, let's not even talk about it because that's crazy to think you would vote a certain way because you're afraid, more afraid of whatever's going on there than getting kicked out by your constituents. Anyway, I just fear that we are going to end up in a revolution because there was HYPATIA, right? But there was also the French Revolution. I think whenever you start doing that let them eat cake thing, people, once they get desperate, what do they got to lose, right? You're killing us anyway, so they're going to storm the Bastille. You know what I'm saying? They're going to storm the castle. I've already been seeing pictures of the White House on fire. I mean, they're floating out there. I'm just saying it. I didn't repost it, but I saw it. It breaks my heart. I don't want to see that for the White House. I don't want to see this for our country. I don't want to see any of this. I try not to watch the news. I try not to be a part of it. It's very disheartening. It's heartbreaking. But I know that at a certain point, people have a breaking point. And if your plan is just to starve people to death, remember the Bastille. That's what happened. They literally were just starving people to death. That's just the way they thought. They were living high off the hog. When they questioned Marie Antoinette about it, she said, let them eat cake. Because I'm eating whatever I got. I don't got time to worry about them. That's basically what that was. And that's what we're seeing right now. And for the people doing the horrible things, it's the same thing as they said in Nazi Germany. I'm just doing my job. Well, when they were getting hanged, I guess you were just doing your job because you just got shot and for a court martial because you were a murderer. There's at some point people have to take personal responsibility. I still see a lot of people cheering it all on. And so I don't see any personal responsibility. I feel like they're still just listening and following and just expecting it all to work out. But I'm thinking, and then they get upset when they hear that there's not going to be any food stamps or Medicaid or Social Security or disability or whatever. And I'm thinking, what do you think he was going to do? He was going to personally pick you out of the millions of people who were getting this and make sure you still get it while everybody else doesn't? No, if you were getting something like that, that includes you. If you were, had a 401k and Dow dropped 1,000 points, that probably was your 401k. Everyone should probably check their 401k. So you won't even have that. Like, that's people's retirement and their savings. This is like a total annihilation of our nation because you're not only not going to take care of the basic poor, because taking care of the basic poor keeps the nation from having people dead in the streets. And so you're not even taking care of that. The whole point, I guess, is just to see the maximum amount of people that'll die. That's why I keep mentioning this, because I just can't comprehend what the end game is unless it is mass genocide. It's when I look at the plans of what's happening, it's the only way it can go. There is no other alternative but massive genocide. And it bothers me that people are not talking about it in the right way. They're not saying, oh, they're committing massive genocide. When they get rid of this, that's going to kill off da 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 million. When they get rid of this, that's going to kill off da 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 million. When they get rid of this, that's going to kill off da 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 million, because that's what's going to happen. People are not going to suddenly be able to survive out of air. We can't survive on air. It takes jobs. It takes being able to stay alive, like stay healthy, basic like water, a roof over your head, unless you're going to be part of homeless. Nobody wants that. So, I don't even, and how many of us even have enough stashed away to last for 4 years? That's the other thing. It's too long. We have to impeach. I don't think we can survive 4 years, because there's not been an alternative solution offered to us to offset the cutting. Like like I said, I would be down with it if you told me what the alternative was going to be. So yeah, you're cutting that, and that. So what are you going to put in its place? What do we got to level things out? Because right now it's way off. This is called collapse. It is so lopsided. And some people are living in their fantasy because they have enough now, or they think they've stashed enough, or they think they're part of the million or the billion that'll survive. But I'm telling you, unless you got at least 1 million, and even that might not be enough, because the economy is going so bad due to recession, that food that was normal priced is going to be astronomically priced. And they even got rid of things like food banks and free food and stuff like that. So people are going to starve to death. And there must be a desire to have people starve to death. Have you seen the dogs that Elon, I think it was, or whatever company that was, like these AI dogs or robot dogs? Like, why are they making them? To kill people? Like, what the hell would you be making those for? I have been seeing things that in my mind, when I'm seeing it, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're planning mass genocide. That's what it is. Now, if we don't, I'd rather be wrong on that than right. So let's hope that's true. That it ain't got nothing to do with mass genocide. Nothing. But what if I'm right? What if all of this is planned? What if the purpose of it all is to thin out our population? Not just any population, but the unwantables. The poor and the elderly and the disabled, and all those living in poverty, and maybe those who are, and all the ones they want to get rid of. Okay, pretty much. It's almost like you're not in an elite club. You don't make $1 million, you don't get to survive. That's the way it feels. And it's almost like the card, right? He wants to have the gold card and have people pay $5 million just to be able to come to America. That's crazy. It's like only the people with $5 million or more can live here. I'm really shocked that people are still going along with it. I think that's what bothers me. I know I see through it, but I'm more shocked that more people aren't seeing through it, or that they're still ready to ride with it. And it's like, where's your soul? Where's your conscience? There's something about it that my spirit can't get down with it. I've tried because there's a lot of things like there was one guy who was saying, oh, if you post Trump pro stuff, that they'll pay you money. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. First of all, it's propaganda. It wouldn't be in my spirit. And I'm like, I would feel like such a hypocrite because I see so many bad things that are being done. Why would I just pull at one positive thing when there's so many negative things that still need to be discussed or that are being swept under the rug? I would feel so bad to talk about like something really shallow, like his golf game or something, knowing that people are dying. I just can't. And I guess everybody's different and everybody has a different conscious level. If you buy into the idea that we are in a recyclable world and we've all lived here before, we're all doing it again, then I feel like we're just at end stage monopoly, and him and Elon are the last people on the board, and they are determining what's going on with the rest of us. They're taking everybody else's hotels and houses and cars and railroads and everything, and the rest of us are, I guess, supposed to die because we never think about what happens to the people in monopoly once they have all of their possessions taken away from them. They just kind of disappear into the background, right? Like they never existed. And I guess that's what we're supposed to do. That's what they saw, I guess, when they made this plan. Yeah, we're going to take $4 trillion out of the deficit. We're going to get rid of all the agencies, all of the programs that keep people alive. And then we're going to make this whatever flight to Mars or whatever we're going to do. I don't know what they're doing with the money, but whatever they're doing. And I don't even think it's going to lead to a bunch of money because they're going to end up shysting it. I think they're probably using it and milking it for other things that they're doing. You watch. It's just, I feel like America got conned by a con man. We, I mean, a grifter's going to grift. And Elon, well, he's just rich, thinks like a rich man. He care. That's not his problem. That's just the way he's thinking. That's why I'm like, he shouldn't be able to do the job that he's being allowed to do because he's not going to have enough capacity. Where would it come from? He's been rich forever. It's long. What does he know about an old person that's living on $1,400 a month to live and they can't pay their rent because their rent's $1,500? He don't know nothing about that. What does he know about that? See? That's the problem. That's the whole problem. We've got people in there that don't understand life because they're too far removed from it, because they're on that thing that spiked all the people, the rich people are so far up there. I can't hit the notes right now. She's so high. She's so high, high above me, so lovely. That song. I don't want to hit the high note because it's like 3 a.m. But yeah, I feel like that's part of what it is. It's just hard to see what it's not a part of their life. It's not in their timeline. And so they have no concept of these people dying, starving to death, sleeping in the streets. And people who see poor homeless people just see them as waste anyway, instead of people who once were able to survive because they had worked all their lives and put in their Social Security. Some guy was saying yesterday he put $600,000 in his Social Security. He wants to get that back. And this is painful because even if you were only going to make $1,500 a month or whatever, it hurts the idea that someone is going to take it from you when you did put all your money and taxes and stuff into it. They should not be allowed to touch this. This is really, really a violation, and it's painful because so many people will die without it. Anyway, I started with HYPATIA, which is sad, and then I ended with what's going on with the seniors, and that's sad. But I just feel like we are in a really strange time in history. I think that if we're not careful, we can we can undo all the progress that has been made. And that's why I said that back when HYPATIA made Astrolabe obviously they were intelligent and thinking intelligently. They might have had some things created back then that are better than what we have now, but a lot was destroyed. So we need to be careful. We don't want to become a dying race that, dies out from its own avarice and no one ever hears about anything good we ever did because we implode due to that type of horrendous attitude that we're seeing right now. We don't want to live like that, do we? We don't want to leave that kind of legacy. Anyway, I just been running my mouth, and this is why I haven't been to make a video for almost a week. It's because I knew when I came out to open my mouth that I was going to open my mouth about this. And I'm trying not to talk about this. I'm trying not to bring that person or his henchman into my conversations. I've been really good about staying out of this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want it to be in my life. So this, at least I got this out of my system. And I think when I saw what they did to HYPATIA and erased all her wisdom and all of the great that she did in Alexandria, it made me realize how, our history has been whitewashed and just erased for millennia. Like it's just, it happens over and over and over again. A great woman will come along, do something, and then everything she did, it will be erased as though she wasn't even there. It's just really, it's heartbreaking. As a woman, I just find it very disheartening. It's heartbreaking. I think it's even more heartbreaking to know that, it's 2025 and we still don't have men that are strong enough to vote for a woman. And that, because we all knew she was more qualified. We knew that. I think somewhere deep inside, I think everyone already knew. But those who voted the other way anyway, because it was a man, it just shows how much work we still need to do. That's heartbreaking. Because now look at what happened to our country. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. And thank you if you lasted this long, letting me rant and rave and talk and share my point of view about HYPATIA and our current government. Anyway, this has been Adrienne, Capricorntigress of Astrology, lookinside.com. Much love, much light, many blessings, and I'll be back to do something else exciting for everyone, okay? Much love to you. Bye.
Astrology, a look inside. Presenting astrology and tarot readings for all.